All right, what's up, guys? Today, what we're going to look at is just kind of a RTA update. So here's where I'm at so far. Climbing pretty good in the 0.6, which, if it was near the end of the season, this would be just fine for a G1 finish. Played 142 matches, 95-47, win rate's getting up a little bit. But the thing I wanted to talk about that I noticed is I've won a lot in a row. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's a loss. 13 in a row. That's a lot. That's more than normal. So what I wanted to do is just kind of look at it and see if I can't figure out some sort of trends or what's going on or sort of apply what happened in the future is kind of my thought. I haven't looked at it at all yet, so I'm going to be sort of figuring it out as I go. Let's get this cat out of the way. All right, so here's the first match. Pretty standard team for me. No Yanhong, no Han, because they went Cleave. So they showed first pick Bastet, and so in my mind, they're going to be doing AoE control, right? So let's see if that read is correct. I went with Nana and Juno. Juno's a perfect counter to that. I don't have a Tetra built, so I did not bring that. Then they went Tiana Kaki, which is just AoE damage, kind of. Tiana is definitely the damagey version of the buff remover. So I went Molly and Wusa, and they finished up with Asima and Jogun, and I went with Verd because they're all AoE. And if I remember this match correctly, I banned the Jogun because I didn't want them to 3-on-4 me and then wreck me. Also, the attack buff was a bit of an issue, so that's how that one went. Then we got this one here, just kind of a lower level player in the C3 ranks that probably has a lot to do with it. First pick Riley, which I don't think is a bad idea if you're going to go sustain, and that's your best sustain monster. The attack buff is quite helpful. I just went like LD spam. I'm pretty sure I banned the Riley here. One of my kind of common techniques I do is double healers and then ban your healer if you go single healer and just out sustain because my bruisers are pretty high HP and in theory I can out sustain opposing DPS. So that's kind of my thought there. They usually let me keep both healers, and in my mind, Yanhong and Molly are both better than Riley, Abellio, whatever else they bring, which is what he brought here. So if I have better healers and the Nana, usually I'm going to be in good shape. So that's that one. This one here. So on his side, first picks the Lima, which is interesting. You don't see that too often. I don't know what it exactly would give away because it's just a really good pick. In my mind, I don't know. It leaves him open to a pivot, but it also lets me get all the units if I want. Like if I had, I don't even know if I had Oliver at this point. I could have gone Nana Oliver and had all the elemental win rate units that I could ever want. That might put him on the back foot a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, he did that. I went Nana Yanhong because Yanhong's a strip and it's going to give me first turn. Nana's just, in my mind, one of my favorite units and the ones I want to get out there early because it gives you an oops. Like if you screw up and you're like, oh, I'm down a unit. It's like, okay, do over, So that's kind of nice. Then he went Oliver Han, which the Han early, I don't know if he knows that I have a Han or that's just how he rolls. I expected there to be some sort of dark follow-up to the Han, but there wasn't. So I went Juno Molly, kind of tanked up again with the healing. He went Jogun and more, and I went with the Antares. I banned the Han because I know what the Han can do, and Han's a problem. So I'm not sure how that one actually went in terms of the win. I just had more sustain, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember that one. It was 8 days ago. All right. Another kind of a lower player, so that might have something to do with it. They went first pick Ciara, which is usually how Gianna players play. That's usually what I look for when I see a first pick Ciara. Otherwise, you don't see it too much. There's too much, think about speed leads. If you have Oliver and you have Ciara, you're probably picking Oliver because Oliver beats Ciara. And if he's going to let me take the Oliver over his Ciara, then his Ciara is kind of worthless right away. So that's an interesting first pick in today's meta if you don't have Gianna. I would not highly recommend it. I went with the standard Nana Yanhong, which gives me options. It's very flexible. It doesn't give anything away. My LD stuff lets me, in theory, be ahead of the curve in the elemental choices I make. It should be pretty uncommon that I have elemental units that are at a heavy disadvantage because I get to see everything they have, and that's where I get a lot of my wins. When he went Bearing, I think he was trying to prevent me from having the Han Bearing, but Bearing is terrible. Is that his name, Bearing? He's terrible with Han. He's terrible without Han. As soon as someone picks the Bearing, I know that I'm in really good shape. So that was an interesting choice. I think I banned the Verd because I don't like anything turn cycling. Like, This sort of thing snowballs and gets out of control when they take a bajillion turns, so I think banning the Verd is the way to go there. So I just out-sustained, and that was it. Chungpung, I've seen some people first pick Chungpung. Unless you've got really, really strong follow-up, I don't recommend it, because there's a lot of fire that deals with him pretty easily. His win rate's under 50%, and I just don't think he's that good. He's not something you're afraid to sustain through. Like, when I sustain through Chungpungs, no problem. You know, this guy too, Poseidon, I have no problem sustaining through him. Because he has to be built squishy to do anything. So just dealing with the Sierra, getting rid of the turn cycling, that's all you needed to do there. All right, so we get my first Guardian matchup here in this little string, which I guess I had just fallen out. Or no, I hadn't fallen out of Guardian. I just was still climbing. Okay, so he first picked Pontos, which again shows nothing. So again, I showed nothing with the Nani Yanhong. Then he started showing AoE control / damage with the Narsha? No, I forget her name. The childish one. And the Kaki, which is again just an AoE damage unit. He's looking for an AoE defense break. So I went with the Verd because all I'm seeing is a lot of AoE. I went with the Molly because Molly disrupts pretty much everything they want to do there. Not 100%, but enough that it gives me a fighting chance, and I feel confident with a Molly going into this. Like, it's not 100% going to work, but I'd say it's at least 50%, which if you can put a unit that gives you 50% chance every pick, you're in good shape. It's when you pick units that have a 40% win rate or lower that you start digging yourself into a hole, and that's when people mid-play are like, oh, I got Violent Proc, oh, I didn't get a Despair Stun. It's like your units are not helping, right? Those little bits of RNG definitely don't help, but if you don't bring the right units, you're in a bigger hole than it feels like, you know? Then he finished up with the Gemini and the Chungpung, got his second speed lead, got his defense break, very nice for him. I went with the Dark Narsha as the ban, because her control, her damage, you have to kill her twice. But yeah, so that's how that went there. All right, next one here. Another lower player. First pick Fran. I think this was in my video earlier when I streamed the climb. First pick Fran means, in my mind, you don't know what you're doing. Because Fran is not a first pick. Fran is not meta, unless you're doing something really, really weird. But even if you are and you win, I feel like your win rate is going to be low. Because first pick Fran just doesn't make any sense. There's so many better healers. There's better attack buffers. There's just better units. So that already when they picked that, I'm like, cool. My win rate just went up by like 10%. So I picked the same old. These units I want to play every time because they have high win rates. They are very versatile. They bring a strip. They bring damage. They bring healing, defense break, like all the things you want. He went with Leo Verd, which I think is a fine follow-up. I think if you didn't have the Fran there, you'd be feeling a little bit better. Like if you had, Oliver there, might be better. You wouldn't go with the Leo after that, but I don't know. I don't like that much. If Riley would be better, way better. So I don't know. So I went with turn cycling units because if I'm going to leave the Leo in, which generally I am, I want to cycle all over. So all these units cycle like crazy. They went with the Molly and Taurus, and I finished up with the Molong, which it's fine. It could be a little bit better, but I think the double fire is puts in a pretty good spot. And I think I banned the Verd again because I don't like them turn cycling on me. All right, so now I'm Guardian, facing a G2. This guy, again, is doing an AoE kind of turn 1 team. I've been pretty happy the last couple seasons going turn 2. Like, it doesn't win all the time, but I'm comfortable in it. I don't feel like I want to race turn 1 because some people have crazy sets and then they win first turn, whereas turn 2 puts you in a pretty good spot for a lot of different things. So I've been enjoying kind of feinting turn 1 with the Yanhong and then actually going turn 2. So the Verd first pick, interesting. That to me usually signals Swift Verd. I don't know why you would first pick it otherwise. I mean, maybe for him, he plays so many AoE, it's a problem for him, but he doesn't expect to get many revenges with his Verd, right? Like, he's doing all the controlling, he's pushing you back, he's messing with you. So that to me signals Swift Verd. So I went with the standard, then he went Wunsa Chungpung, I went Han and Juno, because all the debuffs, Juno's going to be really nice. He went Isis and Pontos, and I went with the Fenyan, because I think Fenyan works really well against all that. It's responding to the AoE, it's defense break, it's heals, it's cleanse. And I don't remember my ban here. I want to say Isis, maybe? I don't remember. That one, I can't see them because they're in the old version. We'll take a look at the last two. So then we got this one here against Vladislav. I had just dropped, I guess I had ranked up, but then just not played. The cutoff had passed me up, so I went down to C3. But the matchmaking is now really aggressively putting me against higher players. So that was a G2, this is a G1, pretty high G1. So what's he doing here? I mean, you'll notice a similarity. He goes Riley. I take the Molly. I don't know if that's the best pick, but for some reason, I feel like sometimes people are going to take Mollies, and they just don't that much. I don't see a lot of Mollies. It's kind of weird. I think Molly's really, really good. But then they went Diana into Molly, which I cannot endorse unless you're planning to ban the Molly. I don't know that I agree with that. And then the Miles is kind of an awkward spot into the LDs. I don't know. Maybe that works for him. I find that kind of odd. So I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what you're doing, but I'm going to take my high win rate units that function against all that stuff. So I took the Yanhong Han. He took the Sierra and Tessa, which makes sense. A lot of passives. And I took the Antares because he's got the Diana showing and the Win unit. And I believe I banned the Riley because this was another instance of double sustain, single really good sustain. That attack buff makes Riley into a quasi damage unit just from virtue of the attack buff. It's making everything better. The Diana scales with attack. All this stuff gets way better. So ban his heals, ban his cleanse, and let's put my double healer and reviver up against your mess. He banned Han, I'm pretty sure. So that was a win, and then we bump back up into Guardian, face another G2. We face only G2s from here on out and a G3, and we're just winning. So that's kind of nice. So let's take a look at this one. He first picks Riley again, which first pick Rileys are usually bruisers, but that's not how this team kind of wins, so it's kind of interesting. I went with the standard, which I think this is my response to many, many things now. It didn't used to be, but I see no reason why it shouldn't be. There's some edge cases where you don't want Han, and them locking you into Han can be a little awkward, but usually you want Han. They responded with the Oliver Carnal, so I'm reading this as full AoE control. I went with the Molly Han, because I'm like, Han performs well against all that. Molly's going to mess up that business quite a bit. He went with the Chung Pung Verd. I'm assuming that's a Swift Verd because I'm not showing any reason for a Revenge Verd. So I went with the Juno for all the shenanigans. And I'm pretty sure I banned the Verd here. Because if this stuff gets going, I got no shot. I might have banned the Riley and just tried to tank it out. I don't recall. But it worked well. All right. Got another G2 here. Ooh, a little bit of a mix-up. He went with the Oliver. I went with the Nana Juno. I think getting the Juno in there early is good. Then he went... This is someone locked into his comp. He went an already countered unit with the Nephthys into the Juno, which I find awkward. But then the Jogun, which, that kind of solves his problems. But then I'm like, all right, double healers. We're going to try to sustain this out. And he went double water into my one fire unit. So I went with Han. I'm pretty sure I banned the Jogun here. Again, because you don't want to let him get 3v4 against you. And I'm pretty sure I banned the Han, and I just sustained it, with the Nana, with the double healers. It's sustainable. It's not guaranteed, but it's doable. I would say my odds of winning this weren't great, but it was good enough, right? All right, now we're here. Another G2. First pick Nana. I was like, no, that's my thing. But this is after I pulled Oliver, so I've been trying to play Oliver. So I responded with Oliver Yanhong, which I think heavily signals Swift, right? This is a massive speed lead, probably the best speed lead in the game. This is a massive booster, maybe the best booster in the game. So he responded in kind. I'm assuming this is a Swift Verd, and the Ethna is the anti-Oliver unit that in theory can come over the top of him and shut him down early. I went with Han Carnal, because I'm like, I'm still not quite sure on my Oliver comp, but I know when Oliver's wreck me, it's because they're doing AoE CC. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of do that. My speeds aren't great, but Carnal's probably my best unit for the job, especially against this with the wind and the fire. So I said, okay, we'll do that, and we'll put the Han there for just pure threat. He responded with the Beta and the Sager, which I think the Sager into the Carnal is not great. The Beta's not a horrible pick. I don't know if he was expecting me to pick it, or he just wanted a little bit of immunity or something. Sometimes these Betas can be really fast, and they can use them to boost up something right away and get going. I didn't worry too much about that. I took the Juno because I'm seeing double wind here, and I'm not really sweating it. I'm pretty sure I banned the Verd, again, for the turn cycling, because I'm looking at double fire versus double wind, and happy times, right? I don't think I can watch this one. We'll check it out. But I'm pretty sure what happened is the Ethna stunned the Oliver, and then the Oliver procced and just blew up his whole team. Can we watch it? I don't think so. Oh, we can. I wonder how many of these we can watch. Let's see if my memory is right. What's nice about my Oliver Yanhong is I was able to pivot into a more bruisery team. And I think that's what a lot of people do. My Yanhong is not pure speed, but people interpret it that way, which rightly so. So yeah, there we proc out, and then we just do nasty things. Didn't get the bar there, which isn't ideal, but if I have Yanhong, I can boost him back up and keep going. But then Han just does Han stuff. And then, yeah. That's kind of how that goes. And then that's it, you know? Cool times are all done. We've got pretty much full control of the match with the slows. The slows are what is really doing it. The one decision I had was the Carnal lead or the Oliver lead. Both great leads. I think speed wins every single time. Because if I can take 30% more turns than you, that's like free vert just from pure stats. So I want that every time. I wonder how many others. Can I watch this one? Huh. That's weird. I couldn't watch them on my phone. Maybe I should have been watching all these the whole time. Let's watch this one real quick, see if I'm right. I banned the Yanhong and I banned the Nephthys. I thought I banned the Jogun. I was just wrong. So let's see how I get out of this scrape. Lucky there. Traps it, so I'm not in great shape here. I don't have a lot that I care about cooldowns, only the Han. But then he missed his infinite cycle. He did not take the bar, so that makes me feel pretty good. But then that guy takes all the bar. Maybe a Leo would have been good here against the slows. And you know all his artifacts are damage based on speed. And I'm just playing Protect the Han until Nana comes back. Resist again. Pretty nice. They're working on the Han. The Han's really tanky, though. Like, that's not... I don't know. It's not as easy to take down. Like, I guarantee you that Han has more effective HP than everything on his team. So, yeah. This worked out. Well, that's cool. All right, well, let's watch the last two, then. Let's go ahead and just dig right into them. So we've got this G2 match here. What? That's so weird. You know what? I think this program is not updated from pre-patch somehow. And so I can't watch the patch stuff, but on the other one, I can watch only these two and none of the other ones. That's so weird. Okay, so let's dig into them. So we get a first pick Oliver. I went Nana Yanhong. This one was really fun. He went more Bella, so I went Amduat Antares. The Amduat is not ruined very well. And then he finished up with the Dominic, scary Dominic, and the Beast Rider, and I went with Leo, because, come on, it's all speed stuff. I banned the Dominic, because that thing is nuts right now, and he banned the Leo, and then we just went at it. The Antares went nuts. They took so many turns, and he just shut him down. And then here's the G3 player I beat. First G3 win of the season, which is always kind of fun. I don't think it would be fun to play G3 all the time. That just does not sound fun to me. But some people enjoy it. It's just not for me. And we cannot watch it, so we'll just have to look at it. First pick Moore. Usually pretty scary. Usually really, really fast CC, right? Usually. I went with Nana and Molly in that case, because I'm like, I want the glancing. You know the odds of like resets or something are pretty high. Molly doesn't really care about that much, so that's why I went with that. He went with the Chung Pung Jogun. So again, here's the resets. Here's the attack buff and the scroll. And I went with, this is the least intelligent thing I've done in a while, I would say. I went with the Oliver and Leo. I think you don't want Oliver to be nerfed by speed. Like, I know my Oliver is built for speed. This is not a great play on my part. So many better choices. I think a Diana is a lot better here than the Oliver. Maybe I was scared he was going to play the Oliver. I don't know. But that was not a great choice. Even Han wouldn't have been horrible there. And then he went with the Beast Rider into the Leo, which is weird. But maybe he had already made up his mind that the Leo was going to go. And then the Okeanos, which been seeing more in high-level play. I don't see them in, like, G1, G2. I just don't see them. But G3s, they like them still. I guess the additional damage, I don't know. So I went with the Verd because literally, you know. And I'm pretty sure I banned the Jogun because, yeah, I don't want to get scroll trapped. Pretty sure he banned the Leo and nuked down my Oliver pretty quick. But my Verd was able to kind of squeak it out. So that was my 13 win streak. We can look at some of the runes. I know I show them a lot, but you know, it's no fun to go be like, okay, which video did you show the runes in? Like, I'd rather just show them whenever I talk about stuff like this, and then you guys can, if you don't want to see them, then I'll stop, I guess. I don't know. But so my most pick units, here's the Yanhong, 300 speed. This rune I'm going to change, but it's just fast. And this, I don't know. This one could be better, because like damage taken from light, who cares? Speed damage could be a little higher. It could be a little better, so I need to farm that. It's hard to find good light ones. The Nana is the other one I use a lot. Despair Nemesis on 85 AC, because I want her to land her defense break and her attack break. No crit. Damage, or speed is tuned to go in front of Han. Other than that, just very tanky. And again, I've got her on additional damage. You can see that there. Pretty nice, pretty nice. What else? Han has not changed in forever. 239 speed, 37 HP. Tons of defense. So there's that. Here's the new Oliver. 274 speed. Not damage, just pure control. I don't know what artifacts to give him. I give him speed proportional to lost HP. And damage taken from fire. Like, that seems good. I don't know. That's what I gave him. Who else? Who else? Who else? Molly. Pretty fast. Pretty tanky. Juno. Pretty fast. Pretty fast. On additional damage. Excuse me. Who else? Triple Revenge Bird has been this way for a while. Just as tanky as I can make him with a decent amount of speed. Robo I built. In theory, I'll use him. I have not yet. Dominic, I just built. I don't know. We'll see. He's on attack, HP, attack. I feel like the stats are pretty good, but I don't know. Tomo, I have not built. I have plans to build her, but I want to see her win rate go up. If she's going to be sitting around a 45% win rate, I will never build her. Like, she does cool stuff, and I like what I see when she does those things, but if her win rate is not at 50%, she does not have a spot in my team. I don't even care. She could be doing all the cool stuff you could ever imagine on streams, and I have no interest. Molong, don't pick very much. Moore, don't pick very much. And Taurus, I think, is built pretty well. I wouldn't mind him having a real offset, whether it's shield or endure or anything, but I can't do it just yet. Don't use this one, but probably should. If I want to win Speed Wars. This one could be on Will. That'd be nice. I should do that. Don't use Riley. Because I like my healers better, you know. Here's the Carnal. I think the Carnal will get a little better next time I can, because I like the accuracy again, because I want him on additional damage. I wish it was both HP, but I don't have a good HP one here, so it's just speed. What else? Ethna. My Swift sets are kind of all over the place, and I don't really use them, so I don't know. Here's this. I like this guy's build pretty much, but I don't use him too much. I would like to work on Gina, because I gave her all the event skill ups. I just don't know what place she has in my team. Like, it would have to be like a Tomo, Han, Gina, X, and I don't really want to play the AoE Speed Wars. There's too many counters. You see those people play, and like one Antares proc happens, and they just lose their minds, and that just doesn't sound fun. Like, I'd rather tank it out a little bit and see who's got the best runes, you know, not who gets first Antares proc. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I don't use this guy that much. I'm thinking about putting him on Swift, just to counter very few specific things, like Cleave. But yeah, so that's how we're rolling. We'll keep pushing. Go for G1. I don't really feel any need for G2. I only have one Druid, and I don't know that I could actually do it. So we'll see. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a fun video to make, so thought we'd throw it out there. But yeah, we'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody.